like a dog in the street.
Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Alrighty. Well, here we are with our hottest takes after sleeping on it. Just a really bad loss for the Vikings yesterday. It looked like they had that game in control for a chunk of it. And then the Ravens came rolling down the tracks. The Ravens, by the way, have gone from 1-5, 5 minutes ago, to being one game back in the AFC North.
Yeah.
They are absolutely winning that division. It might not even come down to week 18. They get like the Browns, the Jets. They get these bad teams coming up. So at least the Vikings did the Ravens a solid by launching their playoff run here. But we'll get into our hottest Vikings takes after a 2-hour-plus vent line yesterday, if you missed it. Yes, we are back on the Purple Daily YouTube channel as of Friday.
Yay.
And we appreciate you guys finding us the week before on the Score North channel. Click that subscribe button and the like button on this video. And then Chef Judd has been up all night crafting his pie chart of blame with several slices. But Quick Trip is starting our journey this week here, Judd.
And speaking of crafting, if you're talking about my friends at Quick Trip, you are talking about crafting. You're talking about crafting a convenience store that's like a grocery store because of all of the options there. Service is fantastic. And if you have a sweet tooth, if you woke up this morning and said, that Vikings game stunk, you know what? I want something that is sweet. I want something that I can really, really enjoy. How about this? Quick Trip Premium Donuts, now just $2.99 for a 3-pack. We've got fluffy Long Johns, classic Bismarcks, or ring donuts as well. So delicious that it's like you're at your hometown bake sale. That's right, comfort food on a day when you 100% need comfort. And that's only a start when you go to Quick Trip.
Also, these incoming hottest takes are presented every week by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, old Dex.
Ooh, it's chilly. It is chilly outside right now. You can go to standardheating.com to make sure you get your HVAC system upgraded, $20 off to that service through the end of the month. So contact Standard Heating, join their Smart Club. Do not put this on a delay with Old Man Winter and the gales of November coming early for those Edmund Fitzgerald fans out there.
Wow.
The same kind of applies to your furnace. Before that good ship and crew was a bone to be chewed, make sure your HVAC system is ready to rock with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
All right, boys. Really curious to see where this goes here. So many things off yesterday's game. Judd, why don't you step into the batter's box? Be our Shohei Ohtani here and set the tone.
Oh, I would love to. In fact, I'm going to do something revolutionary in the hottest Vikings take sphere. I am going to, as promised, build on a previous, like a to-be-continued Judd's hottest Vikings take.
Wow.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was after the Chargers game, I said Kevin O'Connell should cede play calling, but I didn't give you a who. Like, the answer was, okay, Wes Phillips? I mean, do you want Wes Phillips to call plays? So today I am going to complete the package here and tell you this. Kevin O'Connell, especially with JJ McCarthy quarterback, should cede play calling immediately to not Wes Phillips, but Josh McCown, his quarterback's coach. Quarterback's coach, Josh McCown, who has never called plays before, in my opinion, should be calling plays. And it's a very fair question to ask, why? Why should he be calling plays?
How do you know that? How do you know he's good at
how do you know that? How do you know that, sports dad? Well, first of all, it is very, very clear that Kevin O'Connell trying to call plays like he wants for JJ McCarthy is square peg and round hole, right? It just... fundamentally, it's not working. And I know that you can look at the yards per play. I know that you can look at the passing yards for JJ on Sunday, which weren't terrible, and say, but what do you mean? They look great. Well, if you watch the game flow, I'll go back to the game flow. I felt that it was just off again. I felt that O'Connell was just intent on, in a close game, abandoning the run. It made no sense. If you're losing, you can make a case, well, they were losing by 20, sports dad, most of the game. I mean, of course they had to pass the ball, but they didn't. They put themselves in a position to have to pass the ball because they didn't run the ball when they should have. Again, 3rd and 1, the deep shot. And I know, well, if Justin doesn't trip on Marlon Humphrey's feet, if, I don't want to hear if. I want to hear 1st and 10. I want to hear that's another Vikings first down. Sorry, hold on a second. That's the goal first. But Josh McCown is the guy. That's it.
Golden
Go
Gopher.
Run
for
the ball on
first
third
down.
and two.
Hey, are you going to beat Purdue?
Yeah,
Not
you know
quicker.
who's running the damn ball, as Declan just said, on 3rd and 2? Roll the boat,
Gophers.
Sky. You might
Yeah,
go up
yeah,
the
he
middle.
does.
Go up the A gap.
You know, exactly right. Exactly right. Pound that rock. Anyway, McCown has played in, so he has been an assistant coach, quarterbacks coach with Carolina, and now the last 2 years with the Vikings. He has played in a 16-year career, and I know he was a backup most of the time, but he played in 102 games. He started 13 of them. He knows the offense backwards and forwards, and most importantly, perhaps as well, nobody knows, including Kevin O'Connell, JJ McCarthy, better than Josh McCown. He's his quarterbacks coach. He's with him all of the time. I mean, Kevin O'Connell does have to go do other things. He's the head coach. He's the CEO. Wow. And so this is not to say that O'Connell would not play a massive role in game planning. He would. Same role that he currently does. This is not to say that his scheme would be thrown out. This is to say when the bullets are flying, when the script is gone, when you are in game, and Kevin O'Connell, ultimately, no matter who the quarterback is, relies on what he thinks is best. And in my opinion, he's not doing what's best for the kid who you're trying to develop, and I would say win games as well. I don't think the Vikings gave themselves a great chance from a play calling standpoint to win on Sunday. That game, the end of the double dip, the end of the first half, in which case O'Connell said, well, JJ should have taken the sack to run clock at the end, which is okay, but why is he throwing the football then? Like if you're willing to take the sack, in that case, just run the football. And then the egregious one to me was the 3rd and 1, because everybody 6 Ways to Sunday was trying to explain why it made perfect sense. And it's like, okay, but what if you just gotten the first down? That deep shot might have existed still. Anyway, Josh McCown should take over play calling based on the fact that his working relationship with McCarthy, his sole focus would be on play calling. And I refuse to believe that a guy that mentored quarterbacks and played quarterback in the league for that long would get the play calling sheet and freeze up and become terrible. I think he deserves a chance, largely because I think Kevin O'Connell has shown that he is not the best man right now, could change in the future as McCarthy develops to call plays for JJ McCarthy.
Do you think, let's say this, because there's a bunch of variables here. Number one, we don't really know if McCown would be a good play caller or if Wes Phillips would be a good play caller. We don't know. I mean, no one really knew if Kevin O'Connell was going to be a good play caller. Mm-hmm. I guess you don't know until you start calling plays. But if it was the right move to go into that John Harbaugh CEO of the sideline role, which, by the way, Jim Harbaugh, CEO of the sideline, because Greg Roman is the play caller, offensive coordinator. Harbaugh focuses on the 30,000 feet. Both of them do. The 30,000 feet and the details, maybe some things that might get lost if you're just in your play sheet the whole time. But Kevin looks around and sees his mentor, his buddy, Sean McVay, Andy Reid, the elite regarded offensive-minded coaches who are also calling plays. And from an ego standpoint, that would be a hard thing to give up. So if it was the right decision, if you're right about this, would Kevin have the ability, ego-wise, leadership-wise, to make that call? Because making that call would be an admission that you are not as good at that as somebody else would be, right? That's in an ego-driven world.
That's part of it for sure. That is part of it for sure. And I mean, heck, in Detroit against the Commanders yesterday, Dan Campbell took over play calling from John Morton, and so now every head coach in the NFC North is calling plays. You're 100% right, it would be, but I also think that there's a case to be made as well. O'Connell said, just as a for instance, from about things that can get away from you, okay? The Vikings took, 13 penalties on Sunday, 8, I believe the most since 2000, 8 false starts for a home team. Absolutely ridiculous. And O'Connell said, well, we tried to simplify the cadence and things like that, but if you're calling plays like how much can you do? How much can you do in game to fix other things, which, by the way, like if you got that fixed, think of all of the 1st and 10s that became 1st and 15s. So if you could get that fixed because you're not solely focused on calling plays, by the way, for a quarterback who's probably not benefiting from you doing it. So 100% agree. it would definitely be an ego check. But I think there's a case to be made also that it would make him a more effective coach in the sense that there's also a lot of things going on that, I'm sorry, one man cannot troubleshoot everything and call plays.
Yeah. Interesting. I can kind of piggyback off that a little bit. I'm trying to decide how exactly to attack this hot take. But I guess I'll attack it in kind of a two-part hot take here.
You're at the line of scrimmage right now too, Phil.
Checks.
This is really interesting.
Kill.
I know.
Are you canning the take?
Can.
I'm gonna give you the play call with a tag on the end of it. You know how it's like here's the play call, and we'll check, and but this is play call A. If we get this, look, if we don't, we check it to the tag on the end of the play call. That's kind of how they do it in the right. So,
who's the mic?
Kevin O'Connell.
Okay.
Is my mic.
Okay.
O-line committee. An hour and a half of mics later today on the Monday episode. So part one is the Vikings have become the softest offense in the NFL. And having heard enough feedback from players over the course of my life and career doing this podcasting radio, the word soft is very triggering for football players and coaches. So I don't use that word lightly. I want whoever might be listening to this in football with the Vikings, Kevin, players, that I know how much the word soft cuts you as a football person. And I am using that word specifically because I know how heavy that word is. I want you to feel this. The Vikings have become the softest offense in the NFL. And my tag onto this hot take is, if Kevin O'Connell, my guy for 4 years, by the way, my guy Kevin O'Connell, if he continues to coach and call plays in this manner, he won't have this job in 18 months from now. That is my hottest take today.
Ooh, boy. Okay.
I want to set this up. Going into yesterday, the most pass attempts ever in a JJ McCarthy game, Michigan or NFL, was 37 attempts, and I believe something around 42 called pass plays. So yesterday, Kevin O'Connell dialed up 48 called pass plays. So he determined, based on game plan, preparation, and game flow, that it warranted the most called pass plays, by a lot, by the way, of any JJ McCarthy game, pro or college. 48 called pass plays, 13 called run plays. If you were down 21-0 in the second quarter, all right, rip up whatever you had planned. If you had a run game planned, rip it up. You got to throw the ball. You got to chunk it down the field. The Vikings were leading at halftime. The Vikings were within one score into the fourth quarter. How do you wind up with essentially a 4-to-1 ratio of called pass plays versus called run plays? On the season, you want to talk about soft. On the season, the Vikings rank 30th in rushing attempts, 29th in rushing percentage of play calls. Their third down conversion rate is 31st in the NFL. Their short yardage, 2 or less, third down, fourth down conversion rate is dead last in the NFL. Sacks allowed, third most sacks allowed in the NFL. By the way, what's the point of Jordan Mason? Like, why did you even, like, if you're not going to use him on a 3rd and 2, a 4th and 2, when Jordan Mason runs the ball on 3rd and 4th and short, I'm removing Jordan Mason from the soft conversation, because when they do give him the ball on 3rd and short, 4th and short, he converts at a 62% rate. But the evidence is in front of you. When you do choose to run the ball in those short yardage situations, the Vikings convert at a 71% rate. When they pass the ball, it's 21%. So either the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell have no desire to gain first downs in short yard situations, no desire to help JJ McCarthy along as a young quarterback by incorporating more run game play calls, concepts, etc. Or there is some weird internal tug of war happening where Kevin O'Connell is out there trying to prove a point of some kind. It doesn't make sense. A 48-13 pass to run ratio makes zero sense unless you're being vindictive in some way. So either the Vikings are just the softest offense in the NFL, or there's a major disconnect in the organization. It's almost like Kevin is calling plays for what Sam Darnold would be able to handle as the quarterback, or what Kirk Cousins was able to handle. It's almost like he's protesting having JJ McCarthy as his quarterback with the way that he is going about play calling these last couple weeks.
Problem is, I don't disagree with your point. I don't think he sees it like that, though. Like, if you go back to, like, when Dobbs got a few games here, right? He did the same thing. Nick Mullins, who needed to be protected from himself, as we all know, he did the same thing. And that's my point about play calling. So he has to have the exact right guy to, in his mind, execute. Like, he didn't. It's why I put blame on him, or more blame on him than most, for the Rams playoff game. Because Darnold's, I mean, what was happening was obvious, right? I think he got sacked 9 times. And it was as if Kevin was like, well, I'm still doing what I do. It's weird because personality-wise, he comes off as a guy who would be adaptable and who would, I mean, my God, he played quarterback. He failed at the position. Who would see that and be like, okay, I gotta do something here to help. And you know what he is? He's as stubborn as Brad Childress was in his 1 year calling plays in 2006. And up until now, it's worked because Kirk could execute it. Now, could Kirk execute it when it mattered the ultimately most? No, but he still won a bunch of games. Same with Darnold last year. But yeah, I think it's a stubbornness. I don't know that there's a protest. I think it's a stubbornness of this is what we do. He's going to learn this. He's going to learn this. And
this is my system.
Yes.
This works. This is how we're going to do it. And it's on you to figure it out in your 4th game. That's what it feels like to me.
I agree. And but I think what's so hard for us to get our heads around is this. When Childress did this in 2006, with Brad's personality, it's like, okay, he's really stubborn and I can just tell it. Kevin sells himself as a guy that you would think would be, okay, I got to adapt. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to help the kid. You know, I mean, my God, the man said teams fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail teams. And it's as if now he's saying, but in this case, so I agree with everything that you just said. I don't know if it would cost him his job considering his contract extension, but something has to change. And you know, McCarthy can say whatever he wants publicly. If I'm McCarthy privately, again, I'm going to like Josh McCown saying, what are we doing to me here? I'm not there yet. I know I'm not there yet. But of course he's young, so he's 22. So he's going to be a people pleaser and say, I'll do what you want. I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, if I'm in that huddle, if I'm JJ McCarthy, if I'm one of these offensive linemen, I'm looking over at the sideline in a game at practice and wondering, can we run the damn ball? Can we run? Do we need? I mean, and Kevin was very defensive, not very defensive, but like he was sort of defensive about the 3rd and 1 bomb to Justin Jefferson. It's like, yeah, okay, logically, okay, that's, yeah, once in a while you want to take a little shot on a short yard situation. The problem is the Vikings have, I think after yesterday, the lowest run rate in 3rd and short, 4th and short in the NFL. They are extremists. Kevin O'Connell is an extremist when it comes to his pass run ratio. And it's gone back now to where it was the first couple of years, where last year they were actually kind of mid-pack in running attempts and they had more balance with Sam Darnold as the quarterback.
Yes.
You bring Carson Wentz in basically a week before the season starts, or whenever that was, 2 weeks before the season starts. Then you have a guy who's never done this before in JJ McCarthy. And you decide this is the 9-game stretch where we are going to rank 29th in run percentage and 30th in attempts. You are hanging your quarterback out to dry with that ratio.
Okay, I got a question for you. Just a highly, purely speculative question. Perhaps reckless, but I think relevant. How do you think this whole thing is going over internally? And I'll go back to the Carson Wentz game, okay? I'll go back to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz dying on the field against the Chargers. I mean, it's just an absolute bleep show. And that guy, I felt empathy for him. Like, I'm watching that and I'm like, this guy's in excruciating pain. And they're like, again. Yesterday, to your point, like I'm sure that Boone and Searle say, if you ask them, what would you like to do all afternoon long when you played, they'd say, I want to run the ball. Yeah. I want to run that damn
Every
football.
offensive lineman would say that.
Yeah, right, which is fine. It's how they feel. But I'm saying, if you're a player, how are you processing this? Because I can't believe that everyone on that team, seeing Carson Wentz writhing in pain, thought, you know what this is? This is a great idea. The game became hopeless.
Yeah.
It all feels very odd. And look, players keep their mouths shut as much as possible. But I can't help but look at this and think, you know what? They can't all be really, really pleased with this. That for the first time probably in the O'Connell tenure, I got to think the locker room is a little bit soured, if that's the right word.
Yeah. By the way, Jay Vikings chimes in here. KOC is a great leader. Someone needs to talk to him about running more. Who would that be to talk to KOC? That is a great question. Let's say that someone in the...
I said, Phil just did. Phil Mackey just did.
Okay, but I don't work for the Vikings, nor do I work above Kevin O'Connell.
He might watch the show though, so
Maybe people send him clips. I don't know, but let's say it was determined by someone in the organization that, yeah, you know what? Phil Mackey on that one Vikings podcast is right about play calling, and Judd is right about play calling or whatever. Who would that be? Is Kwesi the non-football general manager
no chance.
Gonna walk into Kevin's office and say, "Hey, man,
no chance.
we gotta be more like 15th in run rate, not 29th. Let's get that fixed here, buddy." Like legitimately, like, do you think Kwesi would walk in and have that conversation with Kevin?
No.
Is it Ryan Grigson?
No, he doesn't have the power to. No.
So but even if Grigson did have the power to, if you're Kevin O'Connell, and I don't know exactly what their relationship is, wouldn't you look over and be like, "Buddy, why don't you worry about, I don't know, like drafting your third Pro Bowler in 12 years as the overseer of a draft before you tell me how to." I just wonder if that is a problem that's viewed internally. Who tells him that? Mark Wilf? Like, I don't know. It's kind of, he's, and I'm hammering him here these last couple weeks, but I think it's salvageable. It does feel like the vibes are going back to the report week 18 out of nowhere from Jay Glazer. And there's all these little like sort of breadcrumb droppings that you just, in a vacuum, you kind of just dismiss them all as, well, that was dumb, right? But it has felt like there's been some weird disconnects in this organization going back like 10 months. The Jay Glazer report about teams looking to trade for Kevin O'Connell. Well, the Vikings aren't leaking that. Who's leaking that? Or is it like the Packers or the Lions? Is it subterfuge within the division? Like, where would that information come from? That's weird. Mm-hmm. The Aaron Rodgers stuff that lingered for weeks and weeks, right? That thing lingered for like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe more in the offseason. Okay. Just a little bit of like just odd dissonance with some major things in the organization. And the Alec Lewis report that came out from The Athletic a couple weeks ago, that the vibes are very different than Kevin O'Connell 2022, even last year when they won 14 games. And until someone tells me that Justin Jefferson had a 103 fever and had to grind through it like the Michael Jordan flu game, that looked weird yesterday. I don't know. I'm not saying that like they're the Jets or everything's going to get blown up, but the vibes feel as weird now as they have felt beyond play calling in the 4 years of Kevin O'Connell.
It feels like, and it sort of is showing itself in games at times, not every game, obviously not Detroit. It feels like there is some type of strife. I think strife is a good word for this.
Schism?
It feels like, yeah, it feels like there are certain things, and again, but I will go back to, I'm sorry, I do not think all Carson Wentz's teammates thought this is awesome that his shoulder is falling off his body and he's still playing. And the issue with O'Connell, and it's becoming more and more prevalent at the podium, and by the way, like, we've all heard stories that he is, and I'm not surprised by this, he is a much different person internally. Like, he is far more wired and not, like, he wants to come off as a man of the people. I think privately, and you have to be, he's more of a potential jackass at times, which is what football coaches are a lot of times. But it feels like at the podium it's starting to show itself that O'Connell is becoming more and more defiant. Because I felt the answer, in watching the answer to the 3rd and 1 question from Mark Craig of the Star Tribune, I didn't feel he really got defensive. I felt he got sort of defiant, which was, okay, and then he tried to put it all from, well, Justin Jefferson, right? Cover 0, single, I do that every time. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but let's talk about JJ McCarthy's role here. And he didn't entertain that. It was as if it was in a vacuum, and it was just Jefferson. No one's questioning Justin Jefferson.
That's the thing. Also on that point, okay, sometimes if you flip it around and say, if you're a defense, what would you want the offense to do right now? 50-yard line, 3rd and 1. You know what I don't want them to do? Hand it to Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones, who's carved up the first half.
Correct.
And lean forward for a yard or 10 yards. You know what I would take, even though he's Justin Jefferson? A fifth time ever starting quarterback throwing a 40-yard bomb in the air with weird mechanics, trying to hit Justin Jefferson. Like I would rather the offense, if I'm the defense, draw up that play than run the ball forward for a first down as they continue to steamroll me. One more thing on the play calling yesterday. So Tanner Weber, Purple Post, documented the 20 third and fourth down plays the Vikings ran yesterday. Now, some of these are like must pass, 3rd and longs or whatever. There were 20 third and fourth down plays. And in terms of like 4 yards or less, where, especially if you've got the backing of a fourth down behind you to go for it, if you were so inclined, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe it's like 7 or 8, like 35 to 40% of these are like 1, 2, 3, or 4 yards to go.
Sure.
20 different third and fourth down plays. The Vikings passed the ball 20 times out of 20 on 3rd and 4th down yesterday.
Yeah.
20 out of 20.
That's ridiculous.
100% passes. Again. You figure out my system. Again. I just thought it was dumb. So, all right, Declan, what's your hottest take?
So let's continue a Kevin O'Connell discussion. And I'll say this is the hottest take. His tenure and his reputation as the Vikings head coach is officially facing a fork in the road today. It's facing a fork in the road. And if his philosophies aren't changing, then he's peaked as an NFL head coach. Like Kevin O'Connell's peak, we may have already seen Kevin O'Connell's peak. If he does not adjust things, he has indeed peaked. And you can be the coach of the year, you can be a creator of culture. That's fine, but every coach in this league is prideful, and they get to this point by being a little bit stubborn. But the best coaches adapt. Andy Reid did this from Alex Smith into Patrick Mahomes. Jim Harbaugh did this also with Alex Smith into Colin Kaepernick. His brother did it with Joe Flacco into Lamar Jackson. Kyle Shanahan has adjusted offenses. Now there's some things with their quarterbacks that if they do a certain way, that offense can hum, but still, he's used a ton of different starting quarterbacks with the same narrative against Kevin O'Connell. Dan Campbell, just took over play calling from Detroit because he said, I can't watch this anymore. And here's probably the craziest one. I saw this yesterday. Sean McVay, okay? So Sean McVay and the Rams might be the Super Bowl favorites right now. That offense is awesome. They're running through the NFC. They have increasingly operated out of 13 personnel the last month. So 1 running back, 1 receiver, 3 tight ends. According to Next Gen Stats, the Rams scored 4 of their 6 touchdowns in that grouping yesterday, and they used it on 30 offensive plays.
Wow.
Last week, the Rams used 13 personnel on 35 plays, the most by any offense in a game over the last decade, under Sean McVay. So Sean McVay, up until a month ago, in his entire tenure as a head coach, only ran 13 personnel 84 times over 137 games.
Wow.
And in the last month, he has already surpassed the 84 times that he did up to that point. Sean McVay adjusted his whole offense. An offensive genius, right? He was able to recognize that. Instead, Kevin O'Connell is living and dying by his philosophies with the quarterback who has played 4 games, and you're not insulating him enough to be better. If he refuses to recognize and change his play calling, then he'll never be on the same level as the McVays, as the Shanahans, as the Harbaughs. He's officially facing a fork in the road with his reputation and his tenure as a head coach.
Yeah. No, that's a great nugget on the McVay 13 personnel. That McVay was Mr. 11 personnel for years with Goff, and I think maybe even with Stafford. I'd have to go back. I think the Rams ran like the highest percentage of, so 11 personnel being one running back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers on the field. And that's been Kevin O'Connell's preference over the 4 years, too, is to do that. And obviously, all right, like apples to oranges, Josh Oliver's out right now, so you're probably not going to put – if Oliver's healthy and you have Hawkinson, okay, and now you bring in your maybe Nick Vanette, you got your veteran third tight end or something, your Rosek. But whether it's 13 personnel or something different, it can't just be like, this is my system. This is my system. Hot take police. Circling the office
Here
right
comes
now.
the Vikings. No, it's the Vikings. It's the Vikings. They're coming to eliminate your takes.
But what would be like on the flip side? What would be the defense of? And again, they're not 2-7. They're 4-5. They're competitive. They had a lead at halftime. It's not a colossal disaster. We're like in the nuances here. But what would be the defense? Like, do you think if you were to ask Kevin O'Connell right now and the coaching staff, do you guys feel like you're doing like a 90% of a perfect job coaching, scheming, details, play calling?
Yeah.
And it's just the players aren't getting it, and it's on Kwesi because he's brought in a bunch of crappy players. You know, I'm sure there's some personnel issues, draft issues for sure you could point to.
Right.
But what would they, if confronted with some of this stuff, what do you think they would say?
Well, I mean, O'Connell's been confronted with things in press conferences, and again, I'll go back to he's defiant. He tries to be nice about it, but he is defiant about it, like the Wentz thing. He never said, you know what, it was bad. I saw the TV film after the fact. I shouldn't have done that. He was put his foot down and said, this is what we did, and here's why. Yeah. And so I don't know, and this is the scary thing. This is why I don't want him to call plays for McCarthy. I don't know he sees it. I don't know he sees the problem. Like, just from an overall standpoint, what McVay is doing is not shocking, because the worst thing a play caller can do is become so predictable that teams bait you into things. Mm-hmm. And he's just so predictable. Like, and now he's becoming, the problem now is he's reverting to being more predictable. At least a year ago, like you said, Phil, with Darnold, he ran the ball a bit more. But now, you know, on 3rd and 1, the Ravens probably knew damn well, oh, his tendency is to want to pass here. So he's going to, so that's the problem. And Sean McVay is a very smart dude. He knows, well, if I'm predictable as hell all the time, guess what? Teams are going to know exactly teams do nothing but watch film, like, right? Like all week long. So I don't know that Kevin O'Connell, if we're just talking to him, would see what is happening here. And that's the problem is he is the CEO. He oversees the entire football program, but it feels like this whole thing with McCarthy and play calling, he has such tunnel vision now. I'm afraid he's also missing other things.
Yeah. Here's a bonus hot take before we get into Judd's pie chart here. If I don't think this is going to win you a Super Bowl, this mentality, but if your mindset as a head coach is, this is my system, we are going to pass the ball more than basically any team in the league ratio-wise. We're going to pass the ball on short yardage. We are all gas, no brakes, passing the ball in my offense with a few tweaks here and there. But this is what we do right here. Yep. Then my hottest take off that is, all right, well, then why didn't you just sign Sam Darnold back for $33 million? Like if you were not willing to really at all kind of move off of what you do offensively and schematically, then just bring Sam Darnold back for $33. He would have stayed. If you would have matched that contract or given him $35 million a year, and then okay, you say goodbye to like Jonathan Allen and I don't know, maybe you move off Hawkinson or I don't know, you figure out a way to make the money work. But if that's the case, then and it kind of feels like he'd prefer that. I don't know, like with his play calling, kind of feels like that to me.
It feels like he began to think, I've had enough success. I can do what I want, and it's going to work. So It's very odd. I mean, it is very odd because he is at the point now of banging his head against the wall on a weekly basis.
I mean, one last thing, I promise, and then we'll get into the pie chart. You literally, a month ago, spent one-on-one time during the bye week working on JJ McCarthy's mechanics. And even if they got a little better during the bye week, that is a major short-term red flag for, oh, God, like we're talking footwork and mechanics, probably not super accurate, probably more of a manage it in season, address it full on in the off season, healthy, not coming back from knee surgery, etc., right? Yeah. So how did we go from we got some mechanical red flags here with the footwork, some inaccuracies, we got to work on this stuff, to 3 weeks later, 48 called pass plays in a close game against Baltimore.
I don't know.
I
don't know. And the really sad thing about the game on Sunday was the second half, to put this bluntly, was meant to be ugly. Like, it was supposed to be a grinded out game. It was not. That was not going to be a game ever about style points. That was not going to be a game where you're like, watch my Bill Walsh impersonation. That was going to be a game that the Ravens in the second half offensively played it perfectly, I thought. They ran more. Like, it wasn't a really fun game to watch, and it wasn't meant to be. A lot of games aren't. Yeah. And it was as if O'Connell couldn't process that.
Yep.
So anyway.
Yep. All right. Well, Chef Judd is going to dial up a pie chart here in a moment.
Rock knows how you feel about pie.
So I don't know what the vibe's going to be a week from Thursday, but whether it's back on top after beating the Bears or whether it's further circling the NFC North toilet, we are going to have our next Purple Daily Unplugged event on Thursday, November 20th, 6 p.m. at Buffalo Wild Wings in Roseville. We'll be talking Vikings. I have confirmation that our guy Thor Nystrom is going to be in the house for that night as well. So it can be a little bonus Thursday action, and we'll watch some Thursday Night Football. Also giving away 5 Pepsi tailgate kits as well. And while you're there, you can order 10 wings of any style and a Pepsi, and you get the Justin Jefferson souvenir cup with the QR code on the side. You can scan it and enter to win Victor's Ride, a Polaris Ranger 1000. But yeah, mark your calendars. These unplugged events are a fun time to hang out, talk Vikings, and watch some Thursday Night Football too. Thursday, November 20th, 6 o'clock at Buffalo Wild Wings in Roseville. And make sure you get these Pepsi souvenir cups, these Justin Jefferson
Who's that?
Pepsi souvenir cups. So he's here. He's right here.
He's missing in action. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen that man,
there's that man.
Report to TCO Performance Center where you saw him so we can get him back.
He's definitely built up enough equity over the years. We're like, all right, a bad game or a weird game, you're not going to tear down a whole legacy or anything. But that was weird. It was kind of a weird.
It was a weird day.
Vibe. Yeah.
It was just a weird day. It was a weird vibe all over.
Yeah. Also, shout out to 2 men in a truck. 2 men in a truck here to help with your moving needs, Dex.
That's right. Hopefully a head coach doesn't need 2 men in a truck anytime soon, or anyone on the organization doesn't need a 2 men in a truck anytime soon. But if you're looking for the experts to handle, you don't have to worry about hiring your weird uncle or the neighbor that has a truck that you have to talk to all day long. No, these guys are great. Artie and David, they handled my move. Awesome guys to talk to, too, by the way. They weren't the weird uncle. They weren't that weird neighbor that has a truck. They were experts with the proper tools for the trucks, different size trucks. They'll send you over a spreadsheet what needs to be moved. I've used them. Phil has used them. If you're looking to make your next move happen, go contact 2meninatruck.com and tell them that Purple Daily sent you.
Those 2 poor guys, they were probably trying to get done, and Dex is like, yeah, so gorgeous day outside, huh? Artie, huh? Who's your favorite team? And he's like, I just want to go home. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Hey, it's time to talk about something that maybe you're not excited about, but quite frankly, it could be a game-changing thing for you. A colonoscopy, courtesy of Minji Digestive Health. You can help detect disease at its earliest stage when it's most treatable and beatable. And it's the one test that can both detect and prevent colon cancer. So you might be thinking, I don't know, it just sounds like a drag. The prep is hard. Well, that's what's great about Minji. Their colonoscopy prep uses a sports drink mixture that patients prefer, and the screening itself is quick and painless. So don't put it off. Schedule your potentially game-changing, life-saving colonoscopy today at Minji.com. That's MNGI.com. Minji.com, MNGI.com.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
All right. Chef Judd, how many slices are we dealing with here? Pie chart of blame.
Okay, this is perhaps, and I'm not joking, the easiest pie chart I've ever done. It was so easy that I actually assigned percentages to it. I went back and mathed the math, and it was 100%. on first go.
Okay.
So like I got the
So
I
is it
got
one
the
slice?
I've never
we can keep hammering Kevin O'Connell.
It's 5 slices, but I've never had it be where it's ordinarily I'll assign percentages and then I get to it and it's like, 110% or something.
Czar on the comment section says, how about 20% of blame to Purple Daily for glazing KOC for so long?
Hey, he's done a good job at times. This is why I'm so surprised about this. Like I was hard on him after the Rams playoff loss, but I mean, were you really going to say, well, for Sam Darnold, he was doing a terrible job? So look, I mean, things have changed, man. Things have changed.
Well, they are 4-7 since that Week 18 kind of debacle against the Lions. And you get the Rams. So they're 4-7 over that stretch.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right. So again, 5 slices of pie. Start at the bottom. 10% Miles Price. Oh boy, Miles Price, you goofed up bad. The Strib the main Sunday Viking story was Miles Price and his journey to success because he had the big game against the Lions and everything looked so good and you knew that was the KOD, the kiss of death for Miles Price. His fumble on the third quarter kickoff helped the Ravens go from a very manageable 12-10 lead to getting a touchdown. I believe that they had 2 on the day. It was the first of the 2. Justice Hill scored eventually to taking a 9-point lead. And then on the ensuing kickoff, he fumbled again, and by the grace of God, the Vikings recovered it. But Miles Price, man, like you've done a great job. I think you're good at this. But the one thing you cannot afford, the one thing that will get you off the roster in no time at all, is not being able to do that job by fumbling the football in either punt or kickoff return. So I'm being probably pretty nice here, but I'm just going to keep him down because there's so much else pie to give. 10%.
If there was a pie chart of how mad you were at Miles Price for each of those fumbles, it would be 15% the first one, 85% the ensuing one.
Which he was thinking about the first one, right?
Right.
It looked like he was thinking about it.
I had to admit. Yep.
I agree.
He does like the kind of the spin move into his own guy. It's like, dude, literally just burrow the first sign of traffic. Just burrow your way forward, hit the ground, and don't fumble. Yeah. But here we are.
All right, so let's go up just one rung on the ladder to 15%. Justin Jefferson. Just a weird game. We've talked about this, talked about a lot on Ventline. 4 catches on 12 targets. Some of them, yes, were overthrown, but still 4 catches on 12 targets, 37 yards. There were also plays on which he was targeted. I mean, the first pick, he fell down. He also slipped on another potential touchdown. There was the one in the back corner of the end zone. Just really I thought for a game in which he wasn't like just absolutely blanketed, this was one of his worst performances. Like there have been times where it's like, okay, I get it. It's really hard to get him the ball. But so far through 4 McCarthy starts, this also speaks to a problem as well in JJ McCarthy and Jefferson's chemistry. So I did the math this morning. In Carson Wentz's 5 starts, Justin Jefferson had an average 10 catches per game, 6.8 yards per catch, 95.4 yards per game. So like he was 10 catches per game. And that number with McCarthy in 4 starts, 8.5 catches per game, 4.3 per catch, 52.3 per game. So like the chemistry is just not there yet. And I don't know, he missed all of training camp, but it just feels it beyond the coverage thing, which I get. But beyond that, it feels to me like in going back and watching some of the clips that there's just a fundamental starting point of chemistry lacking.
Yeah, there is.
And got to be honest, for Justin Jefferson, that's been pretty rare. Like for the most part, he's so good, it just ordinarily clicks almost immediately. So it's not like, well, it was 3 weeks of training camp and then it's been 4 games. It's coming. It's weird. It hasn't yet. But 15% for what I thought was one of his least effective games in a situation where he could have been effective.
Yeah, it was. I mean, in any of those individual plays that didn't work out, like it was 12 targets. You said 5 catches or 4 catches, like the 7 that weren't catches or that were interceptions. each one of them in a vacuum is like, oh, he tripped on that one. Oh, he didn't see the safety coming over the top and didn't really fight to maybe catch the ball or break it up, or the false start he had in the fourth quarter. There's a couple other ones. The goal line play that the defender came in and kind of knocked it down. If it was just like an average receiver, you would expect, like most of those are probably not going to wind up in the hands of Justin Jefferson. Average receiver.
Correct.
But it's Justin Jefferson.
Right.
It's weird that collectively all of those plays went against him and the Vikings. It's very rare because a lot of those kind of 50-50 balls or maybe like 30-70 balls he comes down with or makes a play on or doesn't allow the interception. I believe that he has been targeted on 6 interceptions this year is what the broadcast said. Now, some of them are just like bad throws, ill-advised. They're not allowing him, but just kind of interesting. It's not as much a target issue with him. In fact, I think he is. Did you say this? He's pretty high up there on the receiving target rankings this year. He's been targeted. Let's see. Yeah, 7th most. Mm-hmm. One behind Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's over 1,000 yards, was Sam Darnold connecting with him.
The odd thing in yesterday's game, and there was also another play. I think it was a home game in which this happened and a pass was picked off. The oddest thing is because Jefferson's ordinarily so high in this rate. If there was a statistic for it, the compete rate on passes thrown to him, his compete rate is ordinarily off the charts.
Compete rate meaning his catch rate?
His catch rate when he's covered, like if the ball, his whole thing is throw me the ball, I'm gonna be covered, but I'll catch it. Well, part of the reason is like his positioning, his ability to box out, his ability to compete for passes and come away with them is ordinarily, in my opinion, extremely high. And it feels like it hasn't been as high. Like yesterday.
Oh, so this is more of like a Judd Feel statistic.
Yeah, I said if there was a statistic for it. If they said if they said passes are thrown your way and we're going to track what your compete rate is. So if you're open, there's no compete rate. It's going to be caught or dropped. But when it is a ball, when it's a contested ball, in fact, I think it was the Eagles game. I think the Cooper DeJean pick. In fact, I think that was it. Back corner of the end zone. In fact, I think it was the same end zone, same corner where he didn't catch the ball yesterday. And ordinarily, his compete is so high there. And it's like he just sort of gets beaten out for it. And it's like, okay, this is a side of Justin Jefferson we're not used to seeing.
Yeah. He also, an actual statistic that's interesting is his catch percentage, which is literally just like your receptions divided by the targets. And this is easily, by far, the lowest catch percentage of his career. Some of that is, inaccurate throws by Carson Wentz and JJ McCarthy, certainly compared to Kirk Cousins, who was a lot more accurate, and Sam Darnold, who had his own accuracy issues, but generally was more dialed in than both Carson Wentz and JJ McCarthy.
Sure.
So I think I would probably explain it that way. But, he deserves to be on this pie chart for sure.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
All right, 15% for. I'm going to pick on him in particular only because he was the top guy when it came to the 8 false starts. Brian O'Neill, offensive line, 15%. It's not all their fault. We talked about this. That's on the quarterback as well. But my God, again, I think it was the most. I think what I read this morning, it was the most offsides for a home team since like 2000. It was absolutely a complete debacle. It kept happening. It got worse. It didn't get cleaned up. O'Connell's whole thing is, well, we worked on, simplifying things as much as we could, and it actually got worse. Now, to O'Neill's credit, I think he's playing with an MCL that's in terrible shape. He doesn't look right. Like he looks like he is pushing through. Like, I think Darisaw pulled himself from games because it started to bark with his knee a little bit, and he was afraid it was going to get bad. And I think he pulled himself preemptively. I think O'Neill's the flip of that. I think he's playing through incredible pain, and he probably shouldn't be playing, but he knows that on his worst day, he's probably an upgrade also from Justin School. But nonetheless, 15% to O'Neill and the entire offensive line for 8 false starts, including 3 by the right tackle.
What did you guys make of the reason or excuse for the false start that came out of the locker room yesterday. Kevin Seifert.
Oh, the Ravens.
So I'll just read this from Seifert, ESPN.com. How could the Vikings commit 8 false start penalties, the most by a home team in like 2 decades? Players and coaches offered a variety of explanations, including the possibility that the Baltimore defense was making calls designed to simulate JJ McCarthy's cadence.
Brilliant.
From Aaron Jones, sometimes it's hard to hear. They're making move calls up front, so sometimes it sounds like it could be McCarthy saying "Set hut," but they're making move calls, and you see them stem, so they're trying to get them to jump as well. Asked if the Ravens were playing a game with snap counts, Jones said, "Yeah, they're playing a little game there too. So that's what they're getting paid to do, and we just got to lock it in a little bit more."
Yes.
NFL rules do prohibit the use of acts or words by the defensive team that are designed to disconcert an offensive team at the snap. You can't sit there as like a nose guard and be like, "Blue rats at hut." But apparently the Ravens were maybe blurring some of those lines. I hate that. It's if as an excuse.
Do we still get at US Bank? Do we still get the quiet offense at work thing on the jumbotron? Do we like? I know that was a thing the first few years at US Bank because it was always more loud. And I feel like on the next home game we're gonna have a lot more "please be quiet" offense at work type of messaging on the.
They're all
video.
excuses though. Like,
They are.
Come on. I mean, if Baltimore did that yesterday, they do it all the time. Like our teams jump. The Vikings weren't prepared. I mean, this is a Viking problem. And I just mean the team. Forget the fans. Forget the Ravens. You had 8 offsides at home. There's no... And I do believe that the assembled media, after Jones said this, like asked McCarthy about it, asked O'Connell, and they just totally deflected it off because it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's just embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing.
Even if it did kind of, maybe there was 2 times where the Ravens played a game or something. It's the fact that you got tricked by that is embarrassing for your own offensive line, your quarterback. You got to find a way to adjust. Is that the type of thing that a 30,000-foot non-play calling head coach could fix in game versus having to wait for the week? I don't know.
And it was our guy, Alex Boone, in 2016, who told the fans that, "Hey, I'm not saying it's your fault, but it would be nice if they could shut the bleep up a bit as we're out on the offense there." So
that's a pretty classic Alex Boone quote.
It is.
Yeah. Booney also he claims anyways, and I don't think it's disputed. You know now how it's commonplace when you're on the road and it's loud and you're going silent snap count for the guard to look back at the quarterback, see the leg go up, and then hit the center, and then it triggers the snap. That those 49er teams, that was like one of Boone's big jobs as a starting guard for the Niners. They were the first team to do that regularly.
Really?
For a silent snap count, yeah. Oh.
Interesting.
That's right. He's an innovator.
Wait, so what was the silent count mechanism before that? Did Boone say?
I think it was like the center trying to look through his legs at the quarterback, which is hard because, okay, I'm going to look through the legs or
then block.
And then you got to look up, and all of a sudden, it allows the center to be able to stay with his head forward.
Yeah.
Guard slaps. Now we're all looking forward.
Yep.
Boom, ball gets snapped a beat later. Now, of course, the defense sees all that happening and they can tee off, but that's the common way that you can avoid the false start penalties. Maybe the Vikings should do that at home. Maybe that's the solution. Silent snap count. Just let the defense tee off.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
All right.
Okay, so we have 60% left. 20% goes to JJ McCarthy. The 2 picks, the offsides, which are partially from a cadence standpoint, at least have to be attributed to him as well. An uneven day. The mechanics, again, got out of whack. And this is the problem. So part of the issue with having him throw the ball 42 times is you can fix mechanics, but you know what happens as games progress? Just like O'Connell is brilliant with the scripted play calls, okay, but as it gets more off script, right, you tend to revert to what you know and did. Well, mechanics are the exact same thing. So, McCarthy can start a game thinking footwork, foot and eyes, in sync, but as the game continues on, and if you throw 42 times, you begin to revert to what you knew and what you did. And, there's no question we can say, well, some of the overthrows are based on him being too amped up. And that might be partially true. But you know what fixes that? Good mechanics. You know what got out of whack on Sunday? His mechanics. So 20% goes to him, and I'm not absolving him. I'm also not giving up on him, folks, okay?
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm not giving up on him. But do I think that JJ McCarthy was put in a position to succeed on Sunday? Absolutely not. So if you can sort through that, I'm not giving up, but I do think it's very important that he does need, in some ways, you guys, and I'm not trying to be condescending here, he needs training wheels at times.
I mean, remember all those Purple Daily Anonymous tip line rumors going back like a year and a half ago that Jim Harbaugh going to take that Chargers job, and he hired Greg Roman, his longtime 49ers OC, to come in, and those guys together have been like dead last in passing attempts almost every year. This year, I think they've ramped up the passing attempts. And there was all this buzz about the Vikings. Schefter reported the Vikings had a conversation with the Chargers about Justin Herbert. But then the Chargers kind of came to their senses like, all right, okay, we're not.
Right.
He's a guy. He's a top 10 guy in the league. So let's not make this trade. But
right.
If that had happened, and then Kevin could guilt-free call 100 pass plays a game with Justin Herbert, whatever, it'd be his dream, right? Would Jim Harbaugh have at any point, even if it was like a year and a half of fully healthy JJ McCarthy, at any point would he have dialed up 48 called pass plays for JJ McCarthy with the Chargers?
No.
No.
No way. Zero.
Has he done that for Herbert outside of maybe a couple games?
The Houston playoff game got really out of whack. So I don't know because I think Justin was picked up. Declan, was that 5 times? He was picked off a ton. He was picked off
4.
More.
Yeah, it was like 4.
Okay, because he was picked off more in that game alone than I think he was the entire 2024 regular season.
He did have, let's see here, Herbert against Denver in week 3. Again, this is Justin Herbert, who is a fully formed adult, like high-end NFL quarterback. 47 pass attempts in week 3, a close win over Denver. He had 55 in that loss against the Colts a few weeks back. But generally, he's in that 29, maybe 38. There's a 34 in there somewhere. And then the first year under Jim Harbaugh, 2024, he was like, at no point did Justin Herbert ever throw 40 passes in a game. In fact, over half the games, it was like 27 or fewer passes. So that's the thing. Even if you have a better sports car at that position, you're not going to drive it 50 times in a game unless you're down by 3 touchdowns, or unless you're an Andy Reid system and you replace schematically a lot of runs with passes very successfully over 20 years.
Right. Some of which are shorter passes, no question. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and that gets us to, very fittingly, the end of the pie chart. The top of the rung, the top of the pops, but not really tops because it wasn't good. 40% goes to Kevin O'Connell. We've talked about it. 13 carries by your 2 running backs, 42 throws for your quarterback. We've gone through it, but I am giving him a enormous chunk because I think at the end of the day, that loss is largely on him. I'll say what I said on Ventline, which is I actually think your defense played pretty well, and you left them out there. Look at the time of possession. I mean, you kept sending them back out there, and they're not young. And so you are going to run into you need to protect them. We talked about this when they got Jordan Mason, you guys. We talked about the fact that O'Connell, and this was about the playoffs in particular, okay? When you get to the playoffs, like that defense can be, it's shown the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, it can be really good still. Mm-hmm. But when you get to like a playoff type game, you need to possess the football to keep them fresh. You need to run the ball to possess it. You need to run clock. And that didn't come close. So more than just offensive inefficiencies, but because of them, I'm also putting part of this blame on O'Connell for the defense, because I think he put them in a position to fail, and eventually it became very difficult for them.
Yeah. So there it is. There's the pie chart.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
It's 40% Kevin O'Connell, 20% JJ McCarthy, 15% Brian O'Neill, 15% Justin Jefferson, and 10% to Miles Price for fumbling all over the place.
Yeah. If this had been a normal game, Miles Price probably more like 15 to 20%. Because that was at the end of the day, that was a huge gaffe.
Yeah, it was a terrible timing. Good news though, if you're looking for an hour into this thing, some silver linings. We have some silver linings. Positive Phil is going to be forced to make an appearance here before the end of the show. To the couple thousand of you that are hanging out with us on a Monday morning here live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, appreciate you guys. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the like button on this episode to help spread the word around other Vikings fans. Vector Windows.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome, Vector Windows.
Exactly.
To Purple Daily.
Exactly right. Look,
Look at
folks,
those.
look at those. Look at those gorgeous windows right there. And in this state, we know how to handle tough conditions, and so does the people at Vector Windows and Doors. What Vector does is they have products that are engineered to stand up to the elements. That means the heat. That means the incoming cold, while keeping your home comfortable and efficient. Locally made and built to perform season after season, their vinyl windows and patio doors are reliable, energy efficient, and backed by great support. Vector is a proud example of both craftsmanship and commitment locally. So go with the home team here, folks. Go with Vector for your local Vector dealer. Check out vectorwindows.com. That's VECTOR windows.com/dealer. Vector Windows, we talk about this, right? All the time. Keep your home warm and efficient. Vector Windows is another way to do exactly that.
Keep your teeth clean and efficient, or warm, maybe. I don't know. If
No, you don't want your teeth warm. Efficient is an interesting word to use for it, but I think it's actually probably
Efficient.
correct.
You want your teeth to be efficient.
Yeah, no question about it.
Sure.
Yeah, you definitely want them to be like intact and healthy.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yep.
Park Dental comes in with over 50 years of experience caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. This is my dentist of choice as of a couple years ago. And they make it really convenient with locations all throughout the Twin Cities and Western Wisconsin, likely within just minutes of wherever you work or live. And they also have convenient hours, open at 7 a.m., most practices. And most are open until at least 8 p.m. one night a week in case you got to get in there after work or school. Parkdental.com to schedule your checkup. Dex, why don't you hit us with a silver lining off yesterday's game?
Sure. Even with Justin Jefferson having an off game, whether on the field problem, off the field issue, Jalen Nailor showing up and feasting on the opportunity. I've always said Justin Jefferson creates obviously so much for the offense that other people have the opportunity to feast. It was a great game for Jalen Nailor. He had the big catch obviously on the opening possession that set up the Vikings touchdown. Jalen Nailor kind of joined the party, a nice little showing for him. We get a lot of attention towards Jefferson and Addison too, who has so far built up a nice rapport with McCarthy, but nice to see Jalen Nailor also kind of step into this, have a big career game for him, and catch the ball, because obviously he's had some problems with drops, but had a very big game yesterday, and he deserves some flowers.
Yeah, he definitely, man, he's having a nice little run here. McCarthy has a chemistry with him, trusts him, has targeted him on these one-on-ones, and he even said, McCarthy, I think it was right after yesterday's game, said that Speedy's going to have a lot more games like this down the road. So I think what's crazy is if you were to rank the like chemistry rankings right now, McCarthy and his targets, I think Nailor and Addison seem to have a better chemistry with McCarthy than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Is that a hot take?
No.
Just
I don't
chemistry,
think at all.
pure chemistry.
Yes, I don't think it is a hot take. I also, though, I'm theorizing that game on Sunday might have been a $1 million game because Jalen's going to hit the market. Yeah. That's a pretty good game on film right there.
And the big clutch catch to ice the Detroit game.
Absolutely.
Just, hey, we need you. Go win this one-on-one matchup. Yeah, he'll get a couple $1 million.
I think he's showing that he could be at least vie for, or could be signed to get the opportunity to be a number 2 receiver. Like, he's shown enough now where I'm curious about it.
Yeah. What's your silver lining, Sports Dad?
My silver lining is actually the Van Ginkster. He did it again. He did Andrew Van Ginkel, man. All he does is make plays and nearly pick off passes. 2 pass breakups on Sunday, a quarterback hurry on Lamar Jackson. What I have written down here is he was a disruptor. He was a disruptor. He causes havoc. He might not get sacks, but he causes havoc. And I think the most interesting thing is, and this isn't just from a pass rush standpoint, but he's probably in a very elite group of players, defensive players in the league, who the quarterback has to be acutely aware of because of the ability to tip the ball and pick it off.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you think about it, a lot of guys, I mean, I think JJ had like 4 or 5 passes batted down. And, that's cool. That's fine. It's not great for the Vikings, but it's fine. But Van Ginkel he's sort of a double threat because he can bat your pass down, but he's always looking to pick it off. That's a real, and Jackson threw one ball that was very dangerous and tried to like get it around the Van Ginkster, which I'm not sure is a great idea. But yeah, I thought that as a whole, I thought the defense did a pretty good job. And I thought Van Ginkel, again, back for a second consecutive game, proved to be exactly what you want, which is a disruptor for the offense.
And it's good that he's back. So Grenard, yeah, we'll wait on official word with that shoulder injury.
Didn't look good. It was
probably
hanging.
probably not playing this weekend.
He walked off the field. It was literally hanging.
Yeah. So, well, Dallas Turner, come on down. Let's if he's going to be thrust back into more of a primetime role there.
True.
I would say JJ McCarthy, there was definitely some obvious positives, couple big strikes early on the scripteds, using his legs here and there. So I thought there was some good, but I want to take you under the hood. He has notoriously been, throughout his football life, a quick study and a quick learner. And if he fails at something, he's, to this point, a bit different in the NFL, a lot harder to just like level up in that way. But yeah, last week we were poking at when he's blitzed, he struggles. It's hard to, the speed of the NFL, the exotic looks that you can get. Well, right away, he stood in there on a 3rd down and ate a blitz. Was it Kyle Hamilton? He ate a blitz and threw a pass right on the nuts.
Yeah, it was great.
For a completion. And according to PFF, so he was blitzed on 30% of dropbacks yesterday. 7 of 13, so 54% completions. Not terrible. 131 yards, 10 yards per attempt on those when blitzed throws, including a couple classified as big time throws. So he also his pressure to sack rate was, he came into the game worst in the NFL among quarterbacks, pressure to sack rate. Well, he only took the 1 sack. So his pressure to sack rate on the day, 40% on the season, it was 4% on the day because he only took the 1 sack. So 2 big things. When blitzed, can you be productive? And when pressured, can you avoid a sack? And the answer yesterday was productive and yes in both those categories.
But that's why this show is so frustrating right now, because there was an opportunity there. Like if they had just reined it in for him, he would have been fine. That's what's so frustrating about this. It's literally like, don't you see it, Kevin? Don't you see what you could have had here? And then again, just the whole thing about at the end of the first half. Well, he should have taken a sack there to run clock. How about you just run the damn ball?
I'm trying to remember. So
it's always a justify. He threw the ball away on 3rd down.
Oh, he threw it out of bounds.
He threw it to no one in particular.
Yeah.
It was just down the right side, and it could have been grounding, but it was. I don't care. But it's like, he should have taken.
That's a lot to ask. Like, if you are a fully formed NFL quarterback,
correct,
and all of the things, think about, like, even
I agree.
This is like just selfishly on the 3 of us, for instance. The first time you ever get into doing like a live radio show back in the day, when Judd went from being a newspaper guy to a radio guy, you're literally thinking about, where's the on button for my mic? What time are we supposed to be out for this commercial break? What are we talking about next? Where's my, it's like all these things. And then, 15 years later, then sports dad, all that stuff is intuitive, right?
I know where the bathroom is now.
Yeah, exactly.
I know this person's name is.
My
well,
7th cup of coffee.
I don't know any names.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
But like, if you're JJ, you're literally thinking about your mechanics, your communication in the huddle, figuring out what the defense is doing. And so to then ask, hey, in that crucial situation, it's a clock sort of game theory nuance there that you should be thinking about taking a sack instead of throwing a pass away. Yeah, like that would be ideal. For most fully formed veteran quarterbacks, I want Patrick Mahomes to make that decision on the fly. Asking a quarterback in his 5th start to process that, that's actually why Trevion Henderson for the Patriots, looking to the sideline as he's about to run into the end zone for the game-clinching touchdown yesterday, he's looking over at the 5-yard line. Should I go in? That was a heady play. I wish all rookie players and young players could think about the game theory stuff like that. But it's just, it's like, why are you, we're going to criticize McCarthy. Yeah, McCarthy really needs to be a little high level thinker in that situation. Yeah, in 2 or 3 years, 100%.
And that's where you're asking him to do so much. And it's like, okay, how do you help him? I mean, it was just really frustrating. Because O'Connell saying he should have taken the sack is an acknowledgement that O'Connell doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I'll end with that. I mean, I could go on, but I'm not going to.
Well, it's a good thing this is a daily show. Purple Daily.
What do you guys
365 days a year of Vikings takes.
What do you guys talk about every day? Oh.
Yeah, well, I feel like we're going to have to expand this show to 3 hours this week. So, all right. Yeah,
as long as it's not 4. I can't do any more 4-hour shows.
Radio
my contract says no more 4-hour shows for Sports Dad. Too old.
We're going to, on the feed today, you'll also see Before I Die with Jason and Jesse and Leighton. We'll have some NFL takes coming at you and O-line committee. I just got a text from Booney asking, can we go live on O-line committee today at 12:15?
Wow,
so he's fired up.
Wow.
He's fired up.
Booney
wants to go live. All right. You want to go live? We'll do it live.
How did he do live last week?
How did Booney do live?
Yeah, like as far as swear words go.
He very much limits them when we're live, which I think is probably a good strategy going forward.
Okay, but he's a veteran, so he knows like he doesn't. Well, again, he's a veteran. See, he's a veteran. He can do that. If this was his first year, he'd be dropping F-bombs constantly.
Yeah, but he's able to play the game at a higher level. So, all right, for the Sports Dad, for Dex, I'm Phil, and we do still just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See ya.